hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light. We are so glad that you're here from us, joining through different platforms. If you are on our YouTube station, please like and subscribe to our channel.
Hi, Ollie. Ollie's calling in from Belgium. Hi, Ollie. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Everybody, let us know where you're from.
Just start with a little bit of group smudge. Take it in if you choose. The invitation is to treat the smoke like water, rinsing off anything that feels ready to leave your field. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. And today, I am thrilled to be able to introduce you to Chris Alyssia, someone who I have had the privilege to meet in person. Chris is the founder of Ascended Warrior, and today we're going to be talking about from chaos to clarity, finding divine purpose in world events. Chris, it's so lovely to see you again, and everyone, Rhonda as well. Chris, is there anything else you'd like to share about yourself with our audience?
Oh gosh, that's always a bit of a loaded question, but thank you guys so much for having me on.
so happy to have you back. Sorry, I'm just sharing out to the groups and things happen.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it has been an awesome journey since I was last on the show. So you guys know I have a military background. I continue to work with the military here in the U.S. as a teacher. And for a long time, I felt like my spiritual side and my military side were kind of walking these parallel paths of life, but they weren't really meeting. So in the last couple of years, they finally have come together. And I've learned that I'm exactly who I was meant to be. I'm exactly who I designed my soul to be in this lifetime by bringing in the super grounded earth energy and the spiritual energy together. I was able to start channeling in messages, seeing more clearly, not just what was happening in my life, but what was happening in the world and why it was happening, both on a 3D level and on the spiritual level. So it's been really exciting to see and to feel the purpose behind life so clearly, which is what brings me back to you ladies. I have a new podcast that I started with these messages where I look at world events and I go into spirit and ask, why is this happening? Why is this happening for spiritual reasons? What is the soul lessons of these things? And it's given me so much clarity and joy to share them, that not only do I feel optimistic for what's going on in the world, but I am so blessed and honored to be alive at this time. It's the time of the light worker, and I keep getting that message. It's our time to come forward and work with light. So it's been an awesome couple years, and I am really, really honored to be back with you.
Oh, that's wonderful, Chris. And, isn't it beautiful? Thank you for modeling us what it is like for someone who comes into alignment with their own truth, with your own truth. Then, you just blossom. And the universe just keeps saying yes, yes, because you're putting out your authentic nature. And many blessings for us too, because your soul, your being is chosen to be a path of service.
Yes.
For doing what you're doing here. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I love that expression. I've always loved that expression, especially as a military person. I'll get that all the time. Thank you for your service. This is that times a trillion. It's unexplainable when you work in service of light. It's that feeling of pride that I got for working in the military and serving to protect my family. And it's just exponentially more powerful because you're serving the world. You're serving all souls here incarnated. You're serving souls in spirit. You're serving Earth and her ascension. And it just feels so good. I'm sure you ladies know that. I'm not saying anything you don't know, but it feels wonderful.
I love that. And remind us again the name of your podcast so people can, as we're going there, they'll go, they'll be able to look it up. And is it on all podcast programs? And
yeah, it's launches primarily to Spotify, but it's going through all the different ones. And I also have a YouTube channel, and it's Ascended Warrior: Spiritual Codes for a Shifting World. So we'll go into whatever is alive in the energy that week. This last week's episode was on planetary awakening. So talking about the Kundalini shift from the northern hemisphere of Asia over to South America and all the changes that has brought. So it's a mix of spiritual, science, history, and just humanity, what we have done and practiced and evolved through over the years to get to this point where we are now, where we're able to ground in our energy through really turbulent times. It's real, it happens, it works. So by looking at the world at its face and not shying away from it and saying, I will ground through this energy, everything just feels less chaotic. So looking at the Ukraine war, and I pulled cards for it, I channeled in messages and said, what is the sole purpose of this war? And that is what I share, so that people will feel that this stuff is happening for a reason. There's a divine intention behind it all. And you're meant to be here. You're strong enough to be here for it. You have gifts that you're meant to share at this time. So Ascended Warrior, and I'm on season 2, just started season 2.
Congratulations for you.
Congratulations. It's wonderful because, Chris, honestly, there's so much noise out there right now, right?
Yes.
Everybody and their neighbor has this and that going on, but it sounds like what you're doing is cutting through all that noise and offering some clarity that maybe isn't commonly, accessible for the average person, right? And giving them a little understand, like opening up their aperture of consciousness so they can see, oh, this is what's happening. And also because your energy, it feels to me so safe, so present, so divine, so compassionate and kind, that you're a safe person, because exploring these things can be a little challenging or maybe even unsettling for people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do at the beginning of each episode is a heart balancing, because we're talking about things that are very sensitive to people. And there's so much information out there that has been designed to separate us, to divide us, to make us live in fear. So in order to have these conversations, you need to feel safe. You need to feel versus listen. And I want to talk about the taboo. I want to understand the soul lessons that are attached to coming in as a woman versus a man, coming in as Black versus white. There are soul lessons. There are things that you're going to experience based on how you choose to incarnate, and they're important. They're divine. It's not, none of it's taboo. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. It's all on the table. It's all happening for a reason. And it's my goal is to put the audience back in the driver's seat, to understand why their journey is the way that it is, why it looks the way that it does, so they don't feel like they're just getting blown around all the time. We are so powerful. And I want them to feel that, because that's how I feel when I look at, I don't know what I'm going to find when I go into channel for something like Gaza. And I was like, this is a really sensitive one. I'm kind of scared about doing this because people are so angry. And I saw this beautiful message of breaking down religious karma in the area. 3 different groups who have built religious karmic ties to the area, and opening those wounds back up so that they can actually be healed. It's bringing collective heart energy to that area through the chaos, through the pain. And the souls that are there have agreed to hold that energy and ground it into this heart wound that Earth has, so that it can finally be released. And these are really high messages, and they need to be something that we can talk about, because it's so important that we realize the power of this time.
Right. Yeah. And it takes courage to do that.
Yes.
It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I know so many people that it's a little too much for them. They easily go into overwhelm, but with you get guiding people into a heart balanced state, then it's manageable, because we all are in it together. What happens on the other side of the planet does affect us wherever we might be.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so critical to be here and be present in it, is because we are able to understand and feel what other people are going through in a way that we haven't in the past. Technology is an important part of spiritual evolution, because we are connected. We are connected in this space energetically. And technology allows us to feel that connection physically. So when these events happen in the world, it's like the analogy that I saw recently. It was like, think about when your body is wounded. It alerts your body through pain, and all of a sudden the body sends all of this energy into the wound. Say, all right, let's heal this. Let's work together. Let's fix this. Let's bring in blood. Let's bring in all this. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend to throw out some terms there, but let's bring all this energy to start to heal. That's what's happening with all these events in the world. It's like, focus. See, we're hurt. We're hurt right now. Bring that energy in so we can start to heal. So the body itself is saying, pay attention to me. And it's a beautiful time to be here as a light worker, to be awake, because we're involved. We can actively join our energy and go into the wound and start to heal.
It's a kind of a paradox, though, isn't it? It's that the media is skewed to overwhelm us. So we just go, oh, I can't do anything. Hide my head. Don't do anything. The only thing we can do is argue with our neighbor over things that we feel we have no control over. And, it's meant to divide us and keep us down. And instead of that, we should be doing what you said, sending our energy to these places to heal. And that would really defeat the media. And the media has become a tool of disinformation and division, I think, for everybody. Like you said, we want to come back to the middle in all our things, like in our politics and everywhere. Come back to the middle ground where people used to lean left and lean right. Now they're freaking down the block and 10 miles down right and down the left, 10 miles down left, instead of just being, most of us live in the middle. And it's just our leaders. And I'm going to say our leaders in Oregon, because they're not leading us. They're shoving us into little herds. And so we can butt each other's heads and get nothing done. And, and fill their pockets.
Well, look at human history. If you keep people afraid, you can keep control of them. Yeah. It's throughout human history. Leaders have made people unsure, they've kept them ignorant, and they've kept them afraid. If we are reliant on them for our sense of well-being, then they have won. Now, the way you take that power away from them is by saying, you're not going to play anymore. I'm happy because I'm happy. I'm joyful because I'm joyful. I'm not afraid because that's not my reality. I don't have to go into those spaces with you. And I honestly, I'm very open about the fact that I did go into that trap. And I had, especially about Trump. Trump is someone who's incredibly divisive across the world. And my husband, who leans right, he is a Trump supporter. And I was on the other side. And I didn't realize how much of hatred I was building inside of me for Trump until I had a dream. I had a dream showing all the chaos in, like I was guarding a sacred chalice, and my dreams are very weird, so please forgive me. And as the dream progressed, people around me started getting crazier and crazier, and I couldn't figure out why they were getting so crazy. I just knew I was trying to protect this thing. And the craziness got to people coming out on the street and shooting each other and chasing each other. And all of a sudden, they started turning into these cloned versions of themselves where they were just, they weren't human anymore. They were now completely controlled clones. And I woke up and I sat on the message for a long time. I was like, this is important. I need to figure out what this was. And I realized that the fear was taking so much control of our emotions that we were not the housing our bodies anymore. We were now clones of ourselves. And I looked at myself honestly, I said, is this happening to me? And the answer was yes. I realized I was hating a person that I've never met. I was hating on a person based on what I saw in the news. I was hating on him based on what I saw on social media. And even passive little clips on him were getting absorbed into my energy, and I didn't recognize it, to the point where my husband, like I told him, I don't want to hear this man's name. I don't want to hear his voice. And that's not how I want to live. That's not hatred that I need to carry in my body.
No.
So recognizing it was there allowed me to release it, allowed all that energy to go into the wound and say, all right, let's clean this up. And it was like an immediate shift for me. Once I realized I was doing that, I was able to stop. It was a conscious decision. I will not live this way. I will not go down that rabbit hole with them. That's not where I want to exist.
Wow. Yep. What a treasure.
Profound.
What a beautiful gift that dream was, and what a powerful gift. And to be able to give yourself time to nourish it inside and figure out what it means. Because yes, I've been on that spectrum, that polarity of I really like this and I really don't like that. Forgetting that middle ground of neutrality, that everybody has a right to their opinion. And whatever it might be doesn't need to diminish who I am. It's not it's not in what's the word, like opposition. Polarity doesn't mean necessarily opposition, right? It's just novelty. It's just something different. So be able to hold that space of, oh, that's interesting. You feel that way, huh? Maybe we want to talk about it, like a healthy conversation, or healthy instead of just knee jerk. Because you're right. When we get, overwhelmed and all these little data bites come in, we go on autopilot. We almost become like zombies. Like caricatures of ourselves. And guess what? The part of the brain that gets in control then, the amygdala and all the fear-based parts, right? We're on knee-jerk. We're in survival mode. And I don't tend to make great decisions when I'm in survival mode. I'll just own that.
Ollie says, when we let people divide us and allow polarity without being able to find an agreement pattern, we need to realize we are one. Of course, man, woman, non-binaries, white, black, all shades in between. Of course, Christian, Muslim, Judas, those are just the Jewish, those are just whatever. Yet we all are 8.3 hearts beating, 8.3 million hearts beating at the same time. Billions. Yeah.
One of my favorite expressions right now, and I use it all the time, is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. This human moment means nothing. We have come down into these lives thousands of times, and we will continue to come down. The experiences we have here are soul related. What happens with an election, what happens with whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, none of that means anything to our souls. It really doesn't. There are no sides when it comes to souls and energies. They just don't exist. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we should honor each other's human experiences. They're not meant to be the same. We're not meant to be clones of each other. Each one is meant to be perfectly, divinely unique.
Otherwise, there would be no point in coming here hundreds of thousands of times or whatever.
Beautiful. Oh, like we know the soul plays the long game, right? The soul plays the long game. It doesn't care what I had for breakfast, but it does care that I eat during this lifetime. It's kind of like that. And it kind of reminds me of like, my soul is my elder. Like people ask, hey, where are all the elders, the ones that are teaching or guiding us, right? Without us nourishing or nurturing or seeking elders for their wisdom, right? Then we're making mistakes, maybe noodling through trying to figure it on. And elders, to me, they might not teach me the details of navigating through a difficult relationship. I think for me, they tend to emphasize going back to my center and what are my values?
Yeah.
What am I, for instance, bringing to that troubled relationship? Right? Can
Absolutely.
I be honest? Can I be authentic? Can I communicate well? Or am I trapped in the ego of the relationship? Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you're offering us, just on another iteration of bringing people to challenging situations, but offering them a perspective more from a channeled or soul level perspective. Is that right?
Absolutely. And what you said there about figuring out what we value, what is really important to us. That is the message that I keep getting regarding a lot of the really physical things that are feeling chaotic, the economy, the healthcare system, logistics, not being able to get the supplies that we have come to rely on. We're being asked to find out what's important to us. What do we really value? What makes us happy? Because we have lived in this wonderful illusion for a very long time. Consumerism, capitalism. It's a bit of a trap. It's almost like a drug. It's very addictive. Is that what makes you happy? Is that what makes you feel purpose and value? And we're being asked to go inside and ask ourselves those questions. That's why these things feel so unreliable right now, because they have to be. We're using them like snuggies, right? They're our safety blanket. And so when someone starts pulling your safety blanket away, you're forced to ask yourself, do I need that blanket? And that's really what a lot of this is asking us to do, is to go inside, go inside. Is that something you really need to feel truth, to feel yourself? And I think when we do that, a lot of times the answer is no, we really don't need those outside things.
Well, yeah, and so much in society teaches us not to trust ourselves. You know what I mean? Am I right? We have a tendency to outsource our validation. Am I doing it right? Am I keeping up? Is my car nice enough? Am I, going to fit in? I don't want to ostracize myself because of maybe an unpopular opinion or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say, and especially that has been my biggest life lesson. And I'm a huge fan of life between lives and going into the spaces before we incarnate and figuring out, why did I set up my life the way that I did? I constantly go back into those spaces when something's happening, be like, okay, why did I do this to myself?
Was I drunk?
Yeah, so like, why this feels bad. Like, why would I do this to myself? But the biggest lesson I've learned is self-validation. I chose a career with the military where I was never going to get outside validation. I could work as hard as I wanted to, but I was never going to be one of the guys. I was never going to be accepted in the way that I wanted to. And I kept hitting my head against this wall. If I work harder, if I get promoted, if I do this, if I do that, eventually they'll accept me. And I had to go into the life between lives and say, why do I keep looking for this? And the answer was, I have to accept me. I have to see my value. And no way in the world was I ever going to get it from them, because I had to learn that this is true value. Yeah. And I still go through that. It's still something that I'm working with and on, and I've got to be conscious of.
I think that's right in our DNA, though, that validation from others, because that was being going way back. You had to become part of the tribe to survive. And so if you weren't getting your validation from your peers or your cohorts or your tribe mates, then you might be left out on the ice or wherever.
That was a very Canadian expression, left out on the ice. Yes.
It's a very Inuit expression, actually, but yeah. Ollie, again, he says it's like comparing my mango to your tomato. So true. Mm-hmm. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. So, yeah.
And that's an excellent point, Rhonda. We are hardwired to survive. Mm-hmm. If we were, like I say, if I was kicked out of the tribe, it's not likely I would have an easy life surviving on my own, let alone maybe not survive. And that's true, but our brains have evolved since then. And we have access to apparently access to higher level executive functioning. So we do have options. It's just sort of finding our way through, and how do we show up in the world? What is it? What world do we want to live in? And what part can we do to contribute to that? Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And there was definitely a point in my journey where I was saying that the same thing a lot of people are saying, which is I don't want to come back, right? Life is so painful. I don't want to come back. I want to just be done with it. And I absolutely had that period. And I know a lot of people, especially spiritual seekers, are feeling that way. Like, this will be my last incarnation. And I would ask them to reframe that. You chose to come here at this time. If you look at your life as this beautifully planned out syllabus that you've created for yourself, you chose to be here at this time. The fact that you chose that means you are so freaking powerful that it's not explainable. Your soul chose to come down to earth in one of the most chaotic times that we've experienced since the seeding at the beginning, because everything's got to shift and be remade. You are strong enough to be here. You stood up, you raised your hand and said, I am strong enough to be on earth to help with this. That says so much about us. We are incredibly powerful beings to agree to come here. And I've gotten that message from many different star beings. Like, thank you for agreeing to come here in person in human form. Because not everybody wants to do that.
And the fact that we even recognize that we had a choice is far, far along in our evolution. And we all say that. And it's like having a dog that dies on you and you say, I'm never getting another puppy. And then the next week you go, well, I think I'll get
He's so
puppy.
cute.
That was so much fun. Let's do it again.
Yes, I think
and
that's
I'm sure when we go
is.
back to source and we're hung around for a little while and we've got all recharged, we'll go, yeah, I kind of miss it there. I'm going to go back. Let me just choose what torture I'm going to put myself through this time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like as a mother, giving birth to my daughter years ago. It was like, I'm never doing that again. Yeah. But I could totally see if I was younger, maybe I do want another child, or even going to Vipassana meditation, like all those hours of sitting, never doing it again. And then the next thing you know, I want to go back again. Right. So
yeah. And Ollie says, and I think a lot of people have felt this way. How many times I wished I would leave the earth younger than today. I'm still here. This means my mission is not finished yet.
Amen. Yes.
So
getting older is not fun.
It's not.
We're still here for a reason.
Yeah. It's not for the weak. That's for sure.
That's a great way of looking at it. Coming to earth is not for the weak. You came here because you were strong. You were strong enough to do this. Just honoring that power in yourself and recognizing you are strong enough to handle this. You're strong enough to handle everything that you planned for yourself.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's really exciting when you look at it that way. This stuff isn't being done to you. It's not out of your control. It's not a punishment. This is a gift you are giving yourself.
Beautiful. And changing that perspective. I mean, yeah, it's easy for us to say, right here, right now, we're not in the worst conditions of our lives. Things are hurting and things are getting sore and things may not be going along, but I always say there could be worse. But why am I here still? There's got to be something left I have to learn before I go and complete my mission. So,
absolutely. Chris, I have a question. When you first started your Ascended Warrior, sharing your gifts, were you working mainly with veterans?
Yes. Yeah. It was originally founded to help veterans find themselves after the military. So I realized I'd always been spiritual, but when I went into the military, part of the training is to shut down your heart and to shut down your spirituality. They don't want you to feel And they don't want you to be intuitive. They want you to think and they want you to act. And even the thinking, got to be careful with that one. They want you to react. So when I got out of the military and I was trying to, I was still working with the military, but I was working with them as a civilian, I just felt really broken. I lost a big part of my identity. I was no longer a soldier. And I had put so much onus in that label without even realizing it. It had become part of my identity. So when that's gone, like, who was I? I couldn't, I didn't even know to go inside to look, right? I'd been conditioned not to do that. And that's where spirituality came in. I realized I had severed that connection. And part of that is what they wanted. So helping other people when they get out to realize that that identity, that label, that's not who you are. You're a whole being. And it's just a matter of finding that, knowing that you are not using your entire self and bringing tools to them to help them find themselves. Because when you find your own truth, then you don't need false labels. You don't feel like you lost something. So that is what Ascended Warrior was created for. And it just kept expanding. The messages got bigger. The audience I wanted to reach got bigger. And just, I would see something on the news and I would immediately get a download on why it was happening for spirituality, for spiritual reasons. I was like, oh, this is happening so we can learn this. And at some point I had to start sharing it. Otherwise, Spirit was not going to let me sleep.
Thank you for sharing your journey from, the beginning and the evolution to where you are now. And I can't help but to realize that when you first started talking there about sharing, the military training to, like shut down the heart, not to feel, it almost is like the whole population is getting that training now.
Yeah.
Right.
And you talked about like what happens when we go into fight or flight. When we feel our lives are threatened, all the blood rushes to the heart. Our brain is not able to operate as well as it can. Our logic process goes away. So if they can constantly throw out things that make you feel threatened, in danger, your life is at threat. You just can't function. It's taking you down to your base human instinct, fight or flight. So if they can keep us in that state, then we can't find ourselves. We don't even know to look for ourselves. We can't think about the information and ask ourselves, does that feel true? Because we're too afraid. We're too afraid. All the blood is rushing to the heart to keep us alive. It's really, it's designed to do that. I mean, the governments and the media are powerful. They're wise enough to know that if they keep you afraid, you're going to keep clicking, you're going to keep watching, you're going to keep coming back to them. You're going to buy this thing to make the pain go away. So there's very practical reasons for them doing it. But as a spiritual being, you learn to cut through that. That's not your truth. You can hear it, you can take it in, but then you go to heart and you say, is this real? And they want you to be in that place, and that's not how I wanted to live. It's everybody's journey, and I do honor that. Some people are going to go through this life living in that fear status. They're not going to awaken, and that's their divine path. I honor that.
Yeah.
But if at any point you look at it and say, I don't want to live like this, I don't want to feel like that, great, there are ways to stop it.
Of course. And this is, like Melinda was saying, this is, the human condition, and this is a human things. It's not necessarily a male issue or female issue or issue just for the young or just for the old. But over your time, you've probably noticed some patterns of certain groups of people are needing certain types of awarenesses or supports or things to keep in mind, like maybe drinking to excess might not be a good choice. Do you have anything to share about that?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before the show. Every group is feeling pain. All the genders, the ethnicities, the economic statuses, all of those groups are feeling threatened and they're feeling in pain. And there's many ways to deal with it, but what we're really taught to do is not to, the military expression is you throwing a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, right? You're bleeding out, you're in a tremendous amount of pain, but instead of dealing with the wound, you just slap a bandage on it and pretend like it's not happening. That's what we're doing with alcohol. That's what we're doing with drugs, with hatred. Hatred is a wonderful Band-Aid for pain. So if you're hiding from the fact that you're wounded, you'll never address it. And because every group is feeling it, they hide in different ways. The military is huge on alcoholism. Lost my earbud. I think I might have it in the wrong ear. I know there's only two choices, but I feel like I got it wrong both times. The military loves to drink in order to forget the pain that they've felt, to forget the things that they've seen. When in reality, they're just hiding from themselves. They're masking it. They're putting that Band-Aid on their bleed. The only way we're going to heal is to stop hiding from ourselves, to stop hiding from the fact that it happened. Stop hiding from slavery, stop hiding from the fact that slavery happened. We have to be willing to look at life through heart, openly, honestly, in order to even begin to bring the energy there to heal it. So I don't know if that answers your question at all, but yes, I do see that every group is wounded. They're all wounded in different ways, and how they handle it is hiding. You're masking.
Distraction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Distraction by alcohol or by media or by addictions to phones and TikToks or shopping or whatever. It's all distraction from that, just bubble wrapping our feelings so we can't feel them. It's like.
And Ollie is absolutely right here talking about needing more critical thinking voices. The funny thing, and I'm a big fan of history, so I always go back into how humans have worked throughout time. The leadership structure, you have leaders at the top, and right underneath them, they have a layer of followers. These followers are very important. These are their yes men. These are the people that are in leadership roles of everybody below them, but they're not going to rock the boat. They're not going to push back against whatever this top person wants. That is very present in today's world. And then you have the rest of the worker bees underneath. So in the military, this has been my experience over and over. The leaders don't want to have critical thinkers in places of power. They'll make it very uncomfortable for them because they're pushing back, because they're rocking the boat. They're not willing to follow blindly. Leaders in the government want yes men. They want like fake alphas underneath them who are just going to follow along. They think they're in charge, but really they're just following. And they're not going to let those true critical thinkers get into positions of power because it's too threatening. So I see that through my entire career. I resigned my commission in 2015 because I ran up against that. So it's incredibly present, and it's a system that is groomed intentionally. As if you have too many wise people, you actually have to make changes. You actually have to fix some stuff. And they are not willing to do that.
And they're not in the business of fixing. They're in the business of keeping status quo, because that's how it works. Why change the world when that would put us out of business, would it? Maybe not.
Yeah, there's no incentive to fix what is broken. If you look at the leaders in the Congress and the Senate here in the US, they aren't people that are going to rock the boat. Those aren't real leaders. They are that chaff, that the sheep layer, who they will focus on themselves. They will focus on what is best for them as individuals, but they're not actually trying to lead their people. So we have created a system that does not encourage leaders to get into leadership positions. They're too threatening. We need followers to get into leadership positions.
Yeah, you have to be a good sheep. Good sheep,
you have to be a good
worker
sheep.
bee. Good worker bee.
So that system is breaking down because of all of the attention that's being brought to it. all of the chaos that they're creating for themselves, people are starting to realize they're not leading. They're not interested in what is good for their people. And that will start to shift things. It's got to get loud in order to wake people up. Think of it as an alarm clock that starts off really low and then slowly builds in noise so you cannot sleep through it. That's what's happening.
People are
It's
always
getting
saying,
louder,
yeah.
louder.
Yeah, and you follow the money. And I always say the root of every problem is follow the money and see who this problem is benefiting in the long run.
Yep.
Whether it's war, it's not the Jews against the Muslims. Who does no, they're both peace-loving people if you read their doctrine. You look at who's making the money from this conflict.
Yeah.
And who's going to ultimately win at the end of the day? Whose pockets are going to be full and who's going to be... It's not those poor soldiers on the ground. No, it's whoever's financing and, getting the money for all the weapons destruction and whatever. So,
yeah,
so
there are no
the
winners. There are no winners in that. There could be an individual that gets richer, but they're not winning. There's no winners in any of that.
No.
But you're absolutely right. And that's...
There are people that are winning, but it's very, very few of the world that are winning. It's that.
And I know for me, when I become aware of that, I mean, I'm not a politician. I don't have boots on the ground there. But when I'm aware of, like what you say, Rhonda, like, follow the money, who's benefiting from it. That for me, it triggers me practically to pay more attention to, for instance, where I spend my money. Like kind of trigger it. That's one drop in the ocean, but it's me stepping in more to my authenticity and again bringing it to center, because existing out here isn't really working anymore, right?
Yep.
So bringing it to center and doing conscious spending or anything else that seems like wackadoodle and way out of balance. Okay, what's my solution to it? Where am I wackadoodle? Where am I out of balance? And address that, right? Yeah. Like people say, catch God on a whisper, not a shout.
Yeah. Melinda's absolutely right. If you look at about the healthcare system, if you look at COVID, it was really like a little microcosm of what we're dealing on the macro level. It put us in fear. It turned us against each other. We were told that the only way to live and be happy was to buy this thing. We weren't allowed to go out of our houses. We were isolated. So it was trauma in this beautiful little bubble of time. It was all the trauma that we could experience in this little bubble, and how we responded to it was very telling. That we were willing to go into that fear so deeply that we turned against our loved ones. So that constantly keeps happening.
Absolutely. Even going to Mount Shasta with you two.
Yeah.
Oh, my family was in a uproar. And I'm saying, I'm safe. Don't worry about it. You guys went up a mountain in Thailand on the back of a motorcycle. Who's in more danger here?
Yeah. As a Canadian flying from Canada to Mount Shasta for our gathering, there was some pushback that I encountered, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like for sure. And that's going to happen. And if we can just accept it's not always on the sunny side of the street, kind of like to manage our expectations, then it's less likely to be pushed off our, metaphorical meditation cushion, and be realistic about the world we're living in now and make real choices that make sense for ourselves without needing to force those on other people. And I think that's part of it too.
Again, it goes back to critical thinking and thinking critically and not buying into everything we're told 100%, because again, follow the money. Who is this really benefiting?
And I was talking.
I'm sure that everybody was altruistic over that whole COVID thing. As bread went from $2.50 to $4.50, and it's still stayed at that amount. But I know my wheat farmers in Canada aren't getting 150% of what they were getting before for that ton of wheat. And so you look back and you go, who really benefited from this whole epidemic? And it certainly wasn't the people that are still, us little
Yeah.
worker bees on the ground.
And it was surprising how some people reacted. I remember celebrating because I found a package of 4 rolls of toilet paper. Right? All this hoarding that was going on, and I posted, I have 4 rolls. If anyone needs a roll, contact me, and I will give you a roll, and I'm just remembering that I was in conversation with a psychotherapist just casually, not too long ago, and she said, the most recent studies show the young people, because of COVID, they're basically set back 3 years in their psychological development. They're lagging behind 3 years. So if you add that to the equation for the young people, there's even more for them to try to cut through, right? To find who they are.
Yeah, and us old people going, jeepers, look at what we were doing at that age. And we forget that they have been sort of pushed back 3 years.
Yeah.
Thinking an 18-year-old is really a 15-year-old. Not a 18-year-old. Anyways, and we digress. So tell us about your before we get to the end. Yeah, it was designed, Melinda, who was another one, designed to keep us in our fight or flight. Yes, absolutely. We must have been getting too smart. That's all I can say. We must have been getting too close to that tipping point of enlightenment,
Think of the noise is getting louder and louder to wake people up. The amount of people that were awake before COVID versus after COVID, and I'm just getting this download even as we're speaking, a lot of people woke up through that because they realized that the physical world wasn't their only reality. It couldn't be. It wasn't there for them. So they had to go within and look at heart, look at spirit, look at faith, whatever it is that they looked at. So that did wake a lot of people up. And they've continued to wake up at exponentially faster rates because of how loud the world has gotten. At some point, you have to look around at the physical world and be like, this is bonkers. This cannot be the only thing there is. And that is waking people up.
And the more faster we wake up, the louder the noise gets. It's almost a response in but it can only get so loud. And we're going to keep on going. That's the thing we have to remember. It can only get so loud before it kind of falls apart. That all that noise is going to fall apart. It's going to crush itself. Yeah, I feel that way, that it's going to crush itself.
It'd be like screaming into a vacuum at some point. It won't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can scream as loud as you want to. You're not going to affect how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and nothing you can show me is going to change that. So scream as loud as you want to.
Yeah. So you have hopes through this podcast of explaining things that are going on, but you also have hopes of leading people into sacred sites and waking them up. And can you kind of give us an example of that? Like I'm a show me kind of girl. So where would you go and how would you do that sort of?
There's so many sites around the world. When the earth was seeded, think of earth like a soul, right? She's got her chakra centers. She's got her energy centers. So when she was seeded, there were all these power bases that helped connect her to source and connect all the beings that lived on her to source. And those have been polluted over time. When I went to Ireland a couple of years ago, I went with a complete group of strangers and they just invited me and I felt called to go. And when I was walking on one of these places, it was called like the Mound of Sorrows. It was apparently where a whole bunch of people were buried. And I felt called to walk to the top of this little mound. And I just tapped into source. I said, what is this? And I was told very clearly, this is an energy center that's been blocked. This is a spiritual site for Gaia to connect to source. And they have polluted it with this thought of humans dying. They brought sorrow to my heart where I need light. And they had humanity focus on sorrow for so long at that site that it clogged the energy. And there are these sites all over the world that were meant to be light, but humans, through intention or nefarious purposes, blocked them or used that energy for themselves. I see this in DC. Right outside of the White House is a strip of religious centers. There's also a ley line that goes underneath that street. And so as I was walking down the street, I could feel all these religious centers sucking off the energy of the ley line. They're using it for themselves. They're calling people through the energy, and they didn't in a nefarious way. So what I did in Ireland and what I did in DC is I go to these centers, I tap into the energy, and I clean them. I disconnect the parasitic, I disconnect the negative energy, and allow it to flow through me as a catalyst and connect her back into her energy center. It's like plugging in a plug into an outlet. We're offering that outlet back to her. So there are these sites all over the world. Cryon talks about them, the nodes and the knolls, energy centers. So the pyramids, Machu Picchu, the Lake Titicaca is a big one that I'm hoping to go to in the next couple of years. They're all over the world. So going to them with spiritual beings and not teaching or leading a conference, but bringing spiritual light workers, like healing a wound, we bring our energy together, we tap into Gaia, we tap into source, and we just allow that energy to flow the way that it was meant to. And in doing so, using our natural gifts to shift light, to hold light, to ground in positivity and block out any of the parasitic beings so that she can work the way that she's meant to, because she's shifting too. So I want to go all over the world and do this and bring other spiritual beings. I can lead in the work, but it's meant to be energetic play, energetic peers. We are all incredibly powerful beings of light. We don't need to keep learning at some point. At some point, we need to start doing. And that's what I want to do, spiritual doing instead of spiritual teaching. Let's go to these sites and let's activate them and see what we can do together.
That's so cool. So cool.
I'm in.
Yeah, like Titicaca sounds good to me.
Yes.
Where can people find you again? And do you have a website? And I think it's connected in here. Tell us about that, and tell us where people can find you and what else you like listen in onto your podcast. And I put the links in my Facebook, so comments. But please let us know again.
So the website is ascended-warrior.com. I post all the podcasts there every week. You can go on and see the latest episode. I also channel messages and I lead meditations. I do guided meditations. I post all that stuff there. It's got all my links. Hi, Melinda. I love you. It gives links to all the different podcast sites as well. You can go on there and see the blogs, the articles. The YouTube channel is constantly getting updated with new information. You can reach me anywhere. If you want to get in touch, Instagram is probably the easiest way just to reach out to me, or Facebook Messenger. But I'm here. I'm building a community. I want to build a community where fear doesn't exist. It's all divine purpose. So join your light in. This is the time of the light workers. This is what we chose to come in here to do. Let's find each other. Let's add each other's energy together and create this beautiful cumulative consciousness where fear just doesn't exist.
So cool. Thank you.
Feels pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I can feel the power.
Awesome. Yes.
Teresa, you were going to give us a card for today.
Teresa, right.
I'm going to just put you down here.
Okay. Yeah, we like to pull a card as part of every show. This is the deck called Earth Warriors Oracle. It's by Alana Fairchild. She does lots of beautiful, wonderful work, and
I love her stuff.
Deep dive. And the artist Autumn Sky was living in Victoria for a while, so
cool.
That's kind of nice. So I'll just pull a card for the collective with a bit of a frame around our conversation here. Okay. So everyone just tune into their heart spaces. Drop your awareness from your head down into your heart. And the card is, it's card number 22. I'll show in a moment. Ingonyama, honor the ancient king.
Ooh.
So I probably mispronounced that.
I'm not going to correct you.
Right, that's there, Chris. That's what you're talking about, right? Is we are so much more powerful than we even realize. We've been taught to play small, the tall poppy syndrome, etc.
I also see the moons across the top. I've been getting
Mm.
that message a lot about connecting into Earth, connecting into the flow, the cycles of the moon will help you feel more grounded in the chaos. You'll feel that you are more in touch with Mother Earth energy, which will allow a lot of that fear to just kind of wash away.
Wash away. Beautiful. Thank you. So I'll just read the first little paragraph here. The ancient king of the Zulu brings you an empowering message. You are destined to know and experience what it is to be truly empowered. Your voice, your courage, your wisdom, and your dignity can create considerable spiritual light, uplifting and inspiring others, guiding them from a place of spiritual truth towards the fulfillment of their own divine potential. Oh my gosh, can't make this up, right? If you have been doubting yourself or feeling unworthy of your boldness of your visions, you must allow your spirit to roar, for you shall conquer all obstacles and succeed in your heart's desire.
That's
so
beautiful.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
And such a good message. I can't say that there's no fear on my side and no doubt that people are going to hear or want to hear. I absolutely feel that. So thank you. That was very synchronistic.
You can't make this stuff up, Teresa, right?
Yeah, of course. Are we going to pull one?
Yeah, you pulled. Yeah, you have the question bag. It seems like we just did this yesterday. Teresa and I have been busy bees this weekend. Yeah.
So Chris, what this is I wrote a bunch of icebreakers down on paper, and I almost more use it as an oracle deck. So I'm just going to pull one at random. So these are fun, simple questions, right? Oh my gosh. I can't believe this. They're all identical, the paper. I've done this 4 times, and every time I pulled the same question.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it though. Yes. And I'll be witness to that.
Okay, Chris, your question is, if you could invent a new holiday, what would it be and what would it celebrate?
Oof. I heard 2 right away.
You can have
light and heart coherence. A day of heart where you connect into gratitude, you connect into love, you connect into the silence. Can you imagine a holiday where everybody connected to heart for the whole day? Collective heart, that grid, you're feeling your heart reach out and connect to the hearts of other people. That would be my holiday. It would have to be a whole month though, because I don't think a day is long enough. I'm going to take one of the months.
You go, girl. Beautiful. Thank you for answering that question.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's a great one. Great one. Kind of in line up with next week's. So wonderful, and so nice to have meet 2 light workers in 2 different modes at the same time. We had Jackie Dennison on yesterday, pre-recording for next week, and it's so nice to have so much light in our realm, like just to reach out, have that much light. When we can connect with you, kind of a heart, connect with light, kind of Jackie. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing your vision. And listen to her podcast. Listen to our podcast. You can have a whole day of light by just listening to both of us, like listening to the podcasts. Like just check out our guests, check out their podcasts, and put us on your playlist rather than listening to true crime Sorry. Because we know you do. Because we know you do. It's your guilty pleasure. But intersperse us with light so you can be uplifted and bring the light to your world. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. It was a
my
pleasure.
dog's trying to jump here. So thank you so much. And thanks, Ollie and Melinda and everybody else who's joined us today and interacted with us. And like I said, just check us out on YouTube. We're trying to get up to like 1,000 subscribers. I know we have lots of people that watch that don't subscribe. It's nothing to subscribe. It's absolutely free. Hit the notification and you can tell when we have new stuff on. Next week, Jackie Dennison, and the week after that will be our final show for this season, which will be Meditations and Messages for December. And then we start again in the new year. We have like a 4-week break. So thank you all for joining us today. And you guys stay with us after the broadcast ends here and we'll chat. Thanks so much. See you later.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.